नमो महावन्दनाय कृष्णाय प्रेम पारदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरत्वेषि नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Hari Bol Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So beautifully sung. Thank you so much. Very nice, Mataji. So we will begin our class. So today mostly we would be concluding our chapter 2. So what's the name of chapter 2?
Planting the seed.
Very nice.
Putting the seed, Mataji.
Planting the seed. Very nice. Okay, so I'll ask a couple of questions about what we covered in the last class and then we will continue reading. Okay, so in the last class, where did we start? So they were all doing kirtan in a particular park. What is the name of the park?
Tompkins Square Park, Mataji.
Very nice. Harry Bol. Tompkins Square Park. I would request all of you to please participate. Okay, share your whatever you're able to recollect. Please share. It will be nice. Okay, Hare Krishna. So then, okay, what we read, the kirtan was happening in the park, and everyone were dancing. Prabhupada was singing the kirtan. The crowd gathered. All of that happened, and then a set of musicians also came in. And one second, I'll reduce the volume here. Musicians also came in. A lot of interesting music started playing, harmonium, flute, this, that. And okay, then Prabhupada stood up, right? And he started speaking. What did he speak to all the people who assembled there in the park?
Thanked everyone for joining the Kirtana and explained the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Very nice, Sharmila Mataji. Hari bol to you. So nice. So he, like Mataji rightly said, he thanked everyone first. And then he said, the chanting of Hare Krishna had been introduced 500 years ago in West Bengal by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also he explains the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra. He says Hare means O energy of the Lord. Krishna is Lord and Rama is also a name of the Supreme Lord, meaning the highest pleasure. So this is what he said. All right. Then okay, then the people who were standing there, they were all described and all of it. Then after that, Swamiji explained that this chanting of Hare Krishna is in a particular platform. Which platform did he talk about?
Spiritual platform.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Did you struck Mataji?
Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm so sorry. I think I lost my network. Am I audible now? Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Oh, okay, very nice. So sorry. So what I was asking is, he spoke about three platforms. Anyone remembers?
Yes.
Sensual, intellectual,
Sensual, mental, and intellectual.
mental.
Very nice. Hari bol, Ekamar Prabhuji, Muttumari Prabhuji.
And
Very
above them is the spiritual platform.
wonderful. Hari bol. That's what he exactly said. And then he says the chanting of Hare Krishna is on the spiritual platform, and it is the best process for reviving our eternal blissful consciousness. Right? So beautifully he said. And after that, what did he do? How did he conclude the speech?
By chanting Mahamantra, Mataji, means like singing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Kartal sound like that.
Gitas and
Kirtan.
Pranas. Gitas and Pranas, about the Gitas and Pranas speech.
Okay. But Gitas and Puranas, yes, but not Gitas and Puranas. But before that, okay, he continues the chanting, that is right. But before he concluded the speech, he said something, right? He invited all of them, right?
Said
He
chant with
invited,
us. Yeah, he
yeah,
thanked them and he asked them to chant with them.
yeah. He thanked all of them and he invited them to 26 Second Avenue. And he said, "Thank you, please chant with us." And then he sat down, he took the drum, and he again started chanting. All this happened. And okay, and also we read that so beautifully, that how America was so blessed to hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting. It's been waiting for this all these years. Vivekananda came and made a speech, and then even this Thoreau and Emerson, these people had poured English translation of Gitas and Puranas. Despite that, nothing happened. But the land has been waiting for Srila Prabhupada to come and spread Krishna consciousness. So now it was just flowing like a Ganges to the sea. That's how beautifully they describe it. Could not stop. And Prabhupada also clearly says, uh, so we might all think, right, these are all sinful people. They don't even deserve Krishna consciousness. Why should Prabhupada struggle so much, travel all the way, suffer two heart attacks, go there, face so many struggles, despite
To fulfill its master's direction.
Sorry, Ekambar Prabhuji, I think you were saying something. I lost my network. What were you saying, Prabhuji?
Yeah. To fulfill his master's desire that he should go and preach Krishna Bhakti in Western countries.
Very nice, very nice. Definitely, that is also one thing. And he also says he knows this is the order of, this was the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his own spiritual master. That's what he says. And he also clearly says, uh, quotes what Bhagavatam also clearly states, right? That Krishna consciousness should be delivered to all races, okay, despite of color, caste, creed, or anything, because everyone was a spiritual soul, and regardless of the birth, could be brought to the highest spiritual platform by chanting the holy name. And he also says, never mind whatever sinful things they were doing, these people were perfect candidates for Krishna consciousness. And that's what he says. And he also says Tompkins Square Park was also Krishna's plan. It was also part of the earth, and these people were members of the human race. And the chanting of Hare Krishna was the dharma for the age. That's how beautifully he says, he gives the justification. So it's not justification to those people around, it is for us to know why Prabhupada did all of this despite facing so much of struggles. Right? Okay, very nice. And okay, when Srila Prabhupada returned from the park back to his place, what was the surprise awaiting him? Anyone remembers?
There was a large crowd waiting for him on the sidewalk outside his door.
Very nice. Hari Bol Mataji. Very nice. And then what happens?
This meeting
They,
is being
they wanted to learn more about dance and chanting because it had created such a beautiful scene in the park.
Yes, wonderful. Very nice, right? So, to the surprise of the whole large crowd gathered, and Prabhupada's desires and wishes started to get fulfilled. Entire America started to turn towards Krishna consciousness, and slowly the crowd has started to increase. And also, then he addressed the gathering. He spoke about Krishna consciousness, and then all that happened. And what did Hayagriva call this movement? He gave a
Hare
name
Krishna
for
explosion. The
very
Hare
nice.
Krishna explosion.
Very nice. Hare Krishna explosion. That's how he calls it, right? In fact, it started to get newspaper coverage and all in the parks. So what did they decide? That I think one of them said to Srila Prabhupada that we should do this every week. Then what did Prabhupada say? Every day, right, in the park.
Every day.
So that's how it started to happen. Sorry, Prabhuji, what were you saying? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Ekampar Prabhuji, you were saying something?
No, same thing. Every day should be done.
Every day. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay. And of course, there was one bunch of people who came in for the food. Definitely, that is undeniable. So that was also happening. And all the local musicians, everybody started to play the melody they had picked up from the Swami, what he chanted in the park, right? So this lower east side was always a place of artists and musicians. Now it has also become the neighborhood of Hare Krishna. That's how it happened. And the evening kirtanas became so big. The crowd was overflowing. There was group chanting, music making, and then Prabhupada used to give talks, but again for the talks, not the entire crowd will stay, but this was continuing. And Srila Prabhupada, during his talks, he touches upon some very important topics. What is that he talks about, which many people didn't like also? What was that he was talking about?
Sexual pleasure.
Illusion of sexual pleasure.
Very nice. Yes, very nice, Muthumanik Prabhuji and Shablamataji. Yes, right, sexual pleasure, the illusion that creates, right? So he clearly articulated the facts as it is. And in fact, some of them said that if this is the case, people might walk out. Americans would not be interested. And what did Srila Prabhupada say to that? Straight on the face, what did he say?
I cannot change the philosophy to please the Americans.
Very nice, Haribol. That's what he said. I cannot change the philosophy to please the Americans, right? That's how beautifully he said. And he talks a lot about sex gratification and how it could lead to rebirth and all of that concept he touches upon so beautifully. It should be done to beget a Krishna conscious child, also, he says very nicely. And also, he links it to meat eating, right? He also says, as long as people eat meat, there will be war. And if a man eats meat, he will be sure to have illicit sex too, right? So that is what happens. Uh, okay, then something interesting happens. The upcoming weekend, they were preparing for something interesting. What was that?
Love feast.
Very nice. Haribol Prabhuji.
Prasadam feast Mataji.
Yes, sorry, Mataji, come again.
Prasadam feast.
Yeah, nice. And it's called Love Feast, right? They named it so beautifully. Love Feast, right? Such a beautiful name they kept for it. And what was happening in the love fest? We actually visualized. I was visualizing when you were all reading it, how Prabhupada had cooked, how beautifully it's served. I was literally salivating when I was hearing some of the dishes. So such a beautiful experience it was. So anyone remembers what we read in the love feast
Means
part? Whatever you could recall.
they
Yeah.
were
Yes,
cooking
Mataji.
list 50 for 50 people they were cooking Mataji, and the dishes were like uh, halwa, dal, two sabjis, rice, puri, samosa, sweet rice, chutneys, gulab jamuns, mean sweet balls. In ISKCON, it is famous for sweet balls, Mataji, or it is called as ISKCON bullets.
ISKCON
and
bullets, right? Such a beautiful name. Yeah, Haribol. Yes,
and
Mataji.
all disabled favorite prasadam is ghee fried milk balls, Mataji. And ISKCON bullets is compulsory, Mataji, for every disciples.
Yes.
And they were enthusiastic to have the love feast. Everyone, Mataji. I mean, they were no means the people who were serving to other devotees. They were no one disappointed with any guests, or like in daily work. We if we come if we our relatives or friends will come to our house, some people say, oh my god, this person has came, but in their in that time, no disciples were thinking about, oh they were no scarcity of guests, how the guests were coming, Mataji, and they were serving wholeheartedly.
Very nice. Haribol. Thank you so much, Shweta Mataji, for sharing it so very beautifully, for narrating the experience. Yes, so like you said, it was such a delightful experience to read only. So, can we imagine how it would have been to experience something like that? And these people are
Yes,
truly
yes,
blessed
Mataji.
to have experienced that, which Srila Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada himself cooking with his own hands and eating it. Can we imagine such a big blessing of life it could have been? So, Hare Krishna, let's continue our reading today. I'll share my screen. Whoever would like to read, you can raise your hands. Okay. So, I'll just share my screen meanwhile. Why is it not showing? What happened? 1 second. Okay, I will stop my video. Uh, is it visible now?
Yes, Mataji, yes, true.
Okay, very nice. So, Shweta Mataji, you've raised hand. You can start first.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Hare Krishna, everyone. Prabhupada ki jai. Showed no disappointed over the scarcity of guests. From there, we had to read,
Mataji, you've reached
Mataji.
this page, Mataji. From here. So, we completed till here in the last class.
Mhm.
Um, till here. Although Swamiji would not go down to the temple, he would take a plate in his room and hear with pleasure about the success of his new program. So the love feast became a success. So till that we read. You can continue from here, Mataji.
Ha, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Bhaktivedanta Swami had begun back to God and
See,
magazine
from here,
in India.
from one time the devotees were eating from here,
Okay,
Mataji.
Mataji. One time, the devotees were eating so ravenously that they threatened to eat everything available before the guests had all been served, and Kirtananda had to admonish them for their selfish attitude. Gradually, they were understanding that the Sunday feast was not just for their fun and pleasure, but to bring people to Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivedanta Swami had begun Back to God and magazine in India, although he had been writing articles since the 1930s. It was in 1944 in Calcutta that he had single-handedly begun the magazine in response to his spiritual master's request that he preach Krishna consciousness in English. It had been with great difficulty that through his pharmaceutical business, he had managed to gather the 400 rupees a month for printing, and he had a single-handedly handedly written, edited, published, financed, and distributed each issue. In those early years, Back to Godhead had been Bhaktivedanta Swami's major literary work and preaching mission. He had evidenced widespread distribution of the magazine, and he had thought of plans for spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. He had drawn up a list of major countries and the number of copies of Back to Godhead he wanted to send to each. He sought donations to finance this project, but help was scarce. Then in 1959 he had turned his energies towards writing and publishing the Srimad Bhagavatam, but now he wanted to review Back to Godhead, and this time it would not be done single handedly. This time he would give the responsibility to his disciples. One of the Swamiji's disciples, Garg Muni, learned that a country club in Queens was trying to sell its small AB press. Swamiji was interested and he rode out to Queens in a borrowed van with Gargmuni and Kirtananda to see the machine. It was old but in good condition. The manager of the country club wanted $250 for it. Swamiji looked over the machine carefully and talked with the manager, telling him of his spiritual mission. The manager mentioned a second press he had on hand and explained that neither machine was actually of any use to him. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Danvat pronouns Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Sharmila Mataji, you can continue, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Swamiji said he would pay $250 for both missions. The country club did not really need them. And besides, the manager should help out, since Swamiji had an important spiritual message to print for the benefit of all humanity. The man agreed. Swamiji had Gargamuni and Kirtanananda load both missions into the van, and ISKCON had its printing press. Bhaktivedanta Swami gave over the editorship of Back to Godhead to Hayagriva and Raya Rama. For so many years, he had taken Back to Godhead as his personal service to his spiritual master. But now he would let young men like Hayagriva, the college English teacher, and Raya Rama, the professional writer, take up Back to Godhead magazine as their service to their spiritual master. In a short time, Hayagriva and Raya Rama had compiled the first issue and were ready to print. It was an off night, no public kirtana and lecture, and Swamiji was up in his room working on his translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Downstairs, the printing of the first issue had been going on for hours. Raya Rama had typed the stencils, and during the printing, he had stood nervously over the machine, examining the printing quality of each page, stroking his beard and murmuring, Now it was time to collect and staple each magazine. The stencils had lasted for 100 copies, and 100 copies of each of the 28 pages, and the front and back covers were now lined up along two of the unvarnished benches Raphael had made that summer. A few devotees collated and stapled the magazine in an assembly line, walking along the stacks of pages, taking one page under another until they reached the end of the bench and gave the assembled stack of pages to Gargamuni, who stood brushing his long hair out of his eyes, stapling each magazine with the stapler and staples Brahmananda had bought from his Board of Education office. Even Hayagriva, who usually didn't volunteer for menial duties, was there, walking down the line, collating. Suddenly, the side door opened, and suddenly the side door opened, and to Deya's
Muting Ekambar Prabhuji. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Suddenly, the side door opened, and to their surprise, they saw Swamiji looking in at them. Then he opened the door wide and entered the room. He had never come down like this on an off night before. They felt an unexpected flush of emotion and love for him, and they dropped down on their knees, bowing their heads to the floor. No, no, he said, raising his hands to stop them, as some were still bowing and others already rising to their feet. Continue what you are doing. When they stood up and saw him standing with them, they weren't sure what to do. But obviously, he had come down to see them producing his Back to Godhead magazine. So they continued working silently and efficiently. Prabhupada walked down the row of pages, his hand and wrist extending gracefully from the folds of his shawl as he touched a stack of pages and then a finished magazine. ISKCON Press, he said. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Haribol Mataji. So beautiful, no? All right. So, Ekambar Prabhuji, you can read now, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jagannatha designed the cover using a pen and ink drawing of Radha and Krishna similar to his painting in the temple. It was a simple driving set within a pattern of concentric circles. The first page opened with the same motto Prabhupada had used for years on his Back to Godhead. Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is God, there is no nescience. Prabhupada's first and main instruction to his editors had been that they should produce the magazine regularly every month, even if they didn't know how to sell the copies, or even if they only turned out 2 pages, they had to continue bearing the standard. He called Anagro to his room and presented him a complete 3 volume set of his Srimad Bhagavatam. On the front page of each volume, he had written to Sriman Hayagriva Das Brahmachari with my blessings, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Hayagriva was grateful and mentioned that he had not been able to afford them. That's all right, Prabhupada said. Now you compare this Back to Godhead work sincerely and make it as big as Time magazine. Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to take part in it. Don't be dull, he said. Write something. He wanted to give his disciples back to Godhead for their own preaching. Brahmananda and Gargamuni took the first issues out that same night on bicycles, riding to every head shop on the Lower East Side, all the way to 14th Street and as far as West Village, and until they distributed all 100 issues. This was an increase in the preaching. Now all students could take part in the work, typing, editing, writing, assembling, selling. It was his preaching, of course, that he wasn't all alone anymore.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Haribol. Okay, Lakshmi Mataji, I see your hand raised. You can continue, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Not long. Not long after the wedding, Mukunda and Janaki had left for the west coast. Mukunda had told Swamiji that he wanted to go on to India to study Indian music. But after a few weeks in southern Oregon, he had ended up in San Francisco. Now he had a better idea. He wanted to rent a place and invite Swamiji to come and start his Hare Krishna movement in the Haight Ashbury district, just as he was doing on the Lower East Side. He said that the prospects there for Krishna consciousness were very good. Sometimes during the evening gatherings in his room, Swamiji would ask whether Mukunda was ready on the west coast. For months, Swamiji's going to the west coast had been one of a number of alternatives. But then, during the first week of January 1967, a letter arrived from Mukunda. He had rented a storefront in the heart of the Haight-Ashbury district on Frederick Street. We are busy converting it into a temple now, he wrote. And Swamiji announced, I shall go immediately. Mukunda told of a gathering of the tribes in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury. Thousands of hippies were migrating from all over the country to the very neighborhood where Mukunda had rented the storefront. It was a youth renaissance much bigger than what was going on in the New York City. In a scheme to raise funds for the new temple, Mukunda was planning a mantra rock dance, and famous bands were going to appear. And Swami Bhaktivedanta and the chanting of Hare Krishna were to be the center of attraction. Although in his letter Mukunda had enclosed a plane ticket, some of Swamiji's followers refused to accept that Swamiji would use it. Those who knew they could not leave New York began to criticize the idea of Swamiji's going to San Francisco. They didn't think that people out on the west coast could take care of Swamiji properly. Swamiji appearing with rock musicians, those people out there didn't seem to have the proper respect. Anyway, there was no suitable temple there. There was no printing press, no Back to Godhead magazine. Why should Swamiji leave New York to attend a function like that with strangers in California? How could he leave them behind in New York? How could their spiritual life continue without him? Timidly, one or two dissenters indirectly expressed some of these feelings to Swamiji, as if almost wishing to admonish him for thinking of leaving them, and even hinting that things would go not well, either in San Francisco or New York, if he departed. But they found him quiet, confident, and determined. He did not belong to New York, he belonged to Krishna, and he had to go wherever Krishna desired him to preach. He was completely detached, eager to travel and expand the chanting of Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very nice, Mataji. Hari Bol. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pushpa Mataji, you can continue, Mataji. You've raised your hand. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Brahmanand, but we were shocked that he was going to leave. I never thought that it would go beyond the Lower East Side. What to speak of New York City? I thought that this was it, and it would stay here eternally. In the last days of the second week of January, final plane reservations were made, and the devotee began packing Swamiji's manuscripts away in trucks. Rana Kora, a new devotee recruited from Tompkins Square Park, had collected enough money for a plane ticket, and devotee decided that he would accompany Swami as his personal assistant. Swamiji explained that he would only be gone a few weeks and that he wanted all the programs to go on
in his absence. He waited in his room while the boys arranged a car to take him to the airport. The days were grey and cold, and steam hissed in the radiator. He would take only a suitcase, mostly clothes and some books. He checked the closet to see that his manuscripts were in order. Kirtananda would take care of the things in his apartment. He sat down at his desk where for more than 6 months he had sat so many times working for hours at the typewriter preparing his Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam where he had sat talking to so many guests and to his followers. But today he would not be talking with friends or typing a manuscript but waiting a last few minutes alone before his departure. This was the second winter in New York. He had launched a movement of Krishna consciousness. A few sincere boys and girls had joined. They were already well known on the Lower East Side. Many notices in the newspaper, and it was only the beginning. He had left Vrindavan for this. At first, he had not been certain whether he would stay in America more than 2 months. In Butler, he had presented his book, but then in New York, he had seen how Dr. Mishra had developed things. And the Mayavadis had a big building. They were taking money and not even delivering the real message of the Gita. But the American people was looking. Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, should I continue?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I'll just check if anyone else is interested once, Mataji. Anyone else would like to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
These months in America had been difficult. Yes, brothers had not been interested in helping, although this was what their Guru Maharaja Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Thakura wanted and what Lord Chaitanya wanted. Because Lord Chaitanya wanted it, his blessings would come and it would happen. That was a nice place, 26 Second Avenue. He had started here. The boys would keep it up. Some of them were donating their salaries. It was a start. Bhaktivedanta Swami looked at his watch. He put on his tweed winter coat and his hat and shoes, but his right hand in his head bag and continued chanting. He walked out of the apartment, down the stairs and through the courtyard, which was now frozen and still it was trees starkly bare without a single leaf remaining, and he left the storefront behind. He left even while Brahmananda, Rubanuga, and Saswaruba were at their office job. There was not even a farewell scene or a farewell address. Hare Krishna.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. It's so beautiful. So with this, we've concluded our chapter 2 as well. So with the grace of Krishna and all glories to Srila Prabhupada, we have successfully completed 2 big chapters along with an introduction chapter. So tomorrow onwards, we will start our chapter 3. So I'm just curious to see, like all of you, Prabhupada is getting into his new venture, right? So far, we've been seeing what has been happening in New York from where he started from zero and he's built an empire there. Now he's putting his next step foot towards San Francisco. So we'll wait and see tomorrow what is happening there. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much. Please continue to join tomorrow as well. We will start our chapter 3. Dhanvat pranams. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण एवरीवन धन्यवाद
Hare
प्रणाम
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mandav.
थैंक यू माता जी थैंक यू
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you
थैंक
so
यू
much.
माता जी
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू एवरीवन
Hare Krishna Mataji.